What's up, guys and gals? This is Roy from Roy's Customs, and I wanted to show you guys how I welded my diff together. Before I get into this video, I just want to say that this is something that I do not recommend for a daily driver street vehicle. This is more for a weekend track car, and that's pretty much all it's actually good for. If you want something for your daily driver, there are usually limited slip differentials that you can buy. They're really expensive, I know, and that's why that a lot of hobby race car drivers actually just do this. So I don't recommend this, and with that said, I am not responsible for anything that happens to your transmission or your vehicle, period, from doing this, because all I'm doing is just showing you how I did mine. First off, you're going to need a few things to get this task done with, and the first thing you're going to need is a differential. The next thing that you're going to need is actually a welder of some type. I'm using the Harbor Freight FLUX 125 Chicago Electric welder. And you're going to need a piece of metal like this. You're going to want to use a piece of metal all the way from an 1/8 inch up to a 1/4 inch thick. Even though I don't have any and I'm not using any for this video, what you should really do is go ahead and take a set of old CV shafts and go ahead and lock them in to position, or you can cut some shafts and just use the actual tooth part and lock them in, but make sure that you can still get them out. But just go ahead and do that so that your gears in here are lined up properly and they're straight, because you don't want any excess of wobble or anything like that. So once you got all that stuff together and you've got your CV shafts clipped in, then you can go ahead and start your project. As you can see, that fits in here quite well. It's not super loose or anything. Like I say, you want it to be a pretty good snug fit, but anyways, I still would recommend 1/8 inch or better, but 3mm is going to work for demonstrating. I'm just going to start with this piece. You set it down in there, make sure it's lined up well, make sure your ground is nice and solid. I'm probably going to go ahead and weld this on high. That way we get good penetration. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get down in there and you're going to want to weld this thing. Okay, so once you've got this thing all welded together, you'll notice there's a lot of spatter and a lot of slag. Flux core welders are kind of dirty welders. They don't weld super clean. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go in here with say a small screwdriver such as this, maybe a hook screwdriver for some spots. I made this one. You can't exactly buy these, so anyways, you'll want to make sure that you've gotten everything out that you need to get out. as you can see, we have our part welded together, and it's relatively nice and clean once we have all the BBs and all the nastiness out of there. What you really should do is make sure that you get more down in here so that you're actually locking the gears together with each other as well. As far as putting your steel plate in, that's fine and all, but to make sure that you really get these gears actually welded better together, being this was just a demonstration, I didn't really worry about it that much, but you'll want to make sure that you actually get them welded into the corners pretty good, but not all the way up against the gear casing. You don't want to weld the gears to the casing. You're going to want to make sure at least this one bearing is covered with something so it doesn't get spatter stuck to it or the BBs stuck to it, so you don't mess up your bearings. Unless you're going to actually replace the bearings anyways, then you don't really have to worry about it. But if you're going to replace the bearings, then you should just go ahead and leave them on there. That way it doesn't get on the actual shaft and you don't have to mess with that. But I would actually, if you're not going to replace the bearings, then go ahead and cover it up with something so you don't get spatter and stuff and BBs on your bearings. As you can see, it is done, it is clean. You're still going to find little pieces of BBs and stuff. Try to make sure those are cleaned out as best as possible. 100% would be better, but sometimes you do miss something. And the reason you want it so clean is because you really don't want these things making their way up to the main gear set and destroying your main gears or your synchros or any of that stuff. So you really want to keep this clean. So after you get this all cleaned out and you get it all blown out, and then you'll want to actually take and go ahead and clean it inside and out with some brake parts cleaner or something to go ahead and get the rest of it out, because there's still going to be a little bit of stuff in there that's going to need cleaned out. So you clean it up real good, and you'll have a straw on the can so that you can actually get right down in there and spray that all out really well. And then after that, after it dries, because it'll actually dry up pretty fast, once it dries, then you can go ahead and douse this down inside and out with what I would use is like some 80 weight gear oil, some actual gear oil. That way it gets nice and lubed up, heavy duty, because you are probably doing this so that you can put it in your little hobby race car. So anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something from the video. Leave comments down below, hit like and subscribe, and have a spectacular day or night, whichever one it is for you. Peace out.